Hi. Today I'll be discussing about the rising inflation in India and its impact on our economic growth. So this is a pressing challenge across all the sectors of our economy. Now, let's understand what inflation is. Inflation is the increasing price levels of goods and services, which reduces the what's it purchasing power of our money, right? Now, let's so recently, India has been grappling with high inflation, particularly after the pandemic, with supply chain disruptions, volatile crude oil prices, and erratic monsoon patterns contributing to the rise of costs. Now, causes of inflation. First one is global factors. Now, the global factors include the uh, rises of high crude oil prices, and there has been an increased manufacturing and transportation costs. Now, recently after the pandemic, there has been a disruption in the global supply chain. Now, the geopolitical tensions are also increasing. So these are the major global factors which have caused inflation. Now, coming to the domestic factor, same erratic monsoon, which affects agricultural output. Now, the rising demand post-pandemic recovery not being met by adequate supply. There has been a high fiscal deficit as well. Uh, There has been structural factors like poor infrastructure in supply chain and inadequate cold storage as well. Uh, During the 1970s crisis in oil crisis, India faced severe inflation. Similarly, in 2008 global financial crisis, also India faced high inflation. But the current situation is compounded by both global disruptions and domestic inefficiencies. Now, let's see what ameliorative measures and we can take and the timeline it takes. So, short-term measures. Short-term measures are those measures which are taken within the 1 year period. So, they could do monetary adjustments, monetary policy adjustments, where RBI could adjust repo rate and control the liquidity and curb the demand side inflation. Now, there could be supply side interventions, reducing import duties on essential commodities to ease supply constraints. Now, coming to the medium term measures, right? Medium term measures like between 1 to 3 years, what we could do. So, they could strengthen the supply chain by investing more in the supply chain. They could also improve agriculture resources, invest more on agriculture resources. Now, on a long term, what they could do. On long term, they should focus more on their structural reforms, addressing physical deficits issues through improved revenue generation and expenditure rationalization. Now, let's see what are the barriers to implementation. So, political resistance, bureaucracy hurdles, global uncertainties, and climate change. These four are the major barriers towards effective implementation of these, I would say, measures. So, coming to the first one, that is political resistance. Some reforms may face opposition from various interest groups. Like so, some laws or some policies, they are always affected by the political parties. Like some political parties may oppose some policies, right? So these are generally happens. Now, bureaucracy hurdles. Now, inefficiencies and delays in policy execution can hinder progress, right? Similarly, global uncertainties. Say every time there is a global geopolitical issue happening, um, if not, there is some other intervention, some terrorist attack. Every time something's happening, right? And climate change. Nowadays, recently, we cannot even predict the weather rightly. So, agriculture productivity is being affected mainly. Now, coming to the conclusion part. So, as we have discussed, rising inflation in India is a multifaceted problem, which is being driven by global, domestic, and structural factors. Now, while government and RBI are implementing various measures, achieving a balance between growth and inflation control remains a challenge. Now, addressing structural issues, particularly in agriculture and supply chains, is crucial for long-term stability. Now, effective implementation and continuous monitoring will be essential to ensuring sustainable economic growth. Thank you.